Well, joining me now in the studio to discuss this further is Tom Peck, Olympic correspondent for the Independent newspaper, and Colin Stanbridge, Chief Executive of the London Chamber of Commerce. Gentlemen, good to have you on the programme tonight. Tom, let's start with you. Does this prove the naysayers wrong? What do you think?
Well, then I don't think there were any naysayers in terms of the money.
There were lots of naysayers this time last year.
But naysayers in what way?
Poo-pooing the amount of money it costs to get the Olympics up and running. There were loads of people who disagreed with it.
Well, it certainly
cost.
I do remember. I may even have been one of them myself. But if we spent £9 billion on putting the Olympics on, this £10 billion boost to the economy doesn't mean in any way that that whole amount has been paid back. Not even close. It would have to be five.
Why not?
Well, because one is a £10 billion tax spend, and the other is a boost to the economy. If you spend £1 on a Kit Kat, that's not £1 going into the check.
So when Boris Johnson said a short while ago in that interview, actually, it's gold payback time for taxpayers, he's wrong, is he?
He's not wrong, but there's a long way to go before the total amount has been paid back. And I don't think anybody wanted to host the Olympics to make money. We did that for other reasons beside that.
I think the argument's a bit of a pointless one, really, isn't it? I mean, the truth is we had a great Olympic Games. We know, because we talk to people all the time, that they saw it across the world, that people are saying, yeah, I want to come on holiday to London, I want to set up my business in London, I want to do business with those people who put on the Games. You could argue these things on the sort of top of a pinhead about, is this bit here, directly responsible for the Games? Westfield's contribution to the economy in terms of employment, in terms of sales and trade, is that well, yeah, part of it is, part of it isn't. The 10 billion figure, I think, will always be open to scrutiny. What I don't think you can ever deny is that it was a huge boost to this country. It probably helped us. It certainly helped us out of the recession, and it's helping still to do so. And was an incredible, £9 billion is a hell of a lot for a marketing campaign, but boy, did it get round the world and get to lots of people. We go on trade missions at the London Chamber of Commerce all the time, and we're seeing that in all the places that we go to.
What else are you seeing in terms of the legacy, Tom? Because, of course, you're the Olympic correspondent. You probably still are. You're still talking about it 12 months on.
Yeah, I've a bit of legacy myself. There are several parts to it. There is a participation element. There is a building element. Without question, the legacy for London's venues has been a huge success. The stadium has taken a long time, and the conclusion there is not necessarily the most satisfactory one, in that this will now be a £750 million sports stadium, one of the most expensive football stadiums ever built, but it still won't be that good a place to watch football because of the confusing way in which it was built. Participation, 1 minute the figures are
sport.
up.
This is people taking up sport as a result.
Yes, sporting participation. 1 minute the figures are up, the next minute the figures are down. They change the way they're measured. It's very hard to say what's happening, but certainly Seb Coe was hoping that this inspiration of a generation that would take place, he thinks it can't really be measured for quite a while yet.
Colin?
But the Olympic Park, I think, will set the gold standard for games in the future. I think you'd agree with that, Tom. That actually,
even though previous Olympic hosts have failed. I mean,
but we're not
Sydney,
failing.
Barcelona.
But that's the point. We're not failing. The Olympic Park is going to be something that's used all the time. Stratford Station. I mean, you go to Stratford Station and you see that it's a world-class interchange. I think the real problem, I think the danger is here, and that's why we've started our own, the London Chamber Olympic Legacy Roadshow. We've already been to Qatar because of the World Cup, and we're going to Brazil under our President Willie Walsh at the end of the year. I think the danger is that we stop doing it, that we sort of rest on our laurels, and that we don't push the thing that these London companies.
The danger is, what about the rest of the country? Because it's great for you in London, isn't it? But what if you were the Chamber of Commerce for Manchester or Liverpool? They've missed out, haven't they?
No, well, they haven't lost out, because there's a trickle down in the economy, and also. The London Chamber of Commerce was part of...
This is important, but the Federation of Small Business said they haven't. They were promised many, many contracts. They haven't appeared.
No one promised anything. You had to bid for the contracts. What you actually got was the thing that we helped start, which is Compete For, which was a way of getting into the supply chain. And that, again, is now an Olympic legacy. It's being used by Crossrail in London, and actually could be used across the country. They had the ability to get into the supply chain in a way that they didn't have before.
So will the legacy last a generation rather than just a year, Tom? What do you think?
Well, we will have to wait and see. I think he...
Don't sit on the fence. Come on, give me a yes or no.
It'll last for many years.
Certainly it's too early to measure, and we shall see.
OK, Colin? I know what your answer is already.
Decades. Years and years to come.
Gentlemen, thank you very much. We'll hold you to that. Thanks very much for joining us tonight.
Willing to be helpful.